Here's our bathroom that we're going to renovate. We first started by taking out the vanity, and now we're going to rip up the floor. We took up the mosaic tile with a chisel and a hammer. So you can see we have removed the tile, but we have this residue of the mastic that's left over and this paper underlayment that was put with the mastic. Has little circles in it. But what I'm doing is I'm taking my heat gun and I'm just heating up the adhesive and then using this scraper to scrape off. And if it gives you resistance, then you haven't heated it up enough. It should just peel up and curl like all these pieces here. This is area I've already finished. You won't get down to the bare plywood, but enough that it's not so bumpy. This is what it looks like after I've used the heat gun over the floor. You can see some areas did get down to the plywood, but I'm going to be putting a feather finish over to make the surface more even. So I used this Henry 549 feather finish that I got from Lowe's and just a trowel with very small notches in it and spread it over the surface after I decided where the unlevel surfaces were. The fiberglass tub shower unit was cut out with a Sawzall. We knew we had to replace the copper pipes. We got an estimate from this big plumbing company that has 5 different locations, and their estimate was $5,000 just to replace this pipe and install the tub. And yes, that was a ripoff. So we did not go with them, obviously. And I was really intimidated, but I learned from YouTube how to use shark bites and PEX, and I did this part myself, and then we just paid a plumber to add the shutoffs. I had about $200 in paying the plumber for the shutoff valves and for the shark bites, which were the 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch FNPT and also some brass elbow eardrops. The other one was the 1/2 inch to 1/2 inch straight couplings. And this is what the plumbing looks like. After the plumbing and tub was installed, it was time to hang the curdy board. Here is what I have done so far. I taped the bathtub off with plastic, and then I use Curdy Fix, which is this right here, Schluter Curdy Fix. And I went around all of the edges of the tub. I also had cut a notch for the tub flange. So this is just extra protection. And Then what I did was I went around the valve and the tub spout, and the shower spout I have to do yet. But I'm using Schluter All Set, and I mixed that up, and I'm just applying that to these first, and then I just scrape off the excess like this after I apply the patch, and then I take a damp sponge and wipe off the excess so there isn't mortar around the edges on the curdy board. So I've done everything on this side, and I have yet to do these seams and screws and these seams on this side. So I have finished patching with the All Set this curdy band, and this nearly took me all day. So just if you're working by yourself in a tub surround this size, that's how long it's going to take. I used the corners and the curdy fix first before I put all of the curdy band on. This is the subway tile that I found at my local Habitat for Humanity Restore. So this is the subway tile that I've laid so far. The most important thing is getting that first row nice and level and checking each row to make sure that it's staying level. I did mark right in the center there, the center line to help me. And the mastic that I'm using is this right here. It's already mixed. And so I'm just using a V-notch trowel to do the mastic on there, making sure each row is straight. And then over here, I'm just using this simple little hand tool that cuts tile. Makes it real nice and easy and no mess with the wet saw. One little trick that I'm using to clean out the mastic in between is this little tool, wood tool, and I just run it along. If I get too much, I just run it along and then wipe it off on a paper towel. Keeps it nice and neat. I'm just working my way up the wall, and one of the most important things is to make sure your corners are meeting up. I found this marble piece of tile that fit at the bottom of my niche because I didn't want to have grout lines where the water was going to be sitting all the time. So I just found this at Lowe's and then just cut a little bit off to size. I have finished the tile walls. Now I'm working on the niche, and I'm also going to be adding a corner shelf. This is the grout that I am using. I used a float, but I also used my hands with some gloves to apply the grout. This type of grout you must wipe off about 5 minutes after you apply. So you just have to work in small sections and then wipe off. Otherwise, there will be a terrible film left that's very hard to remove. I found this really neat tile at Lowe's, and I saw a DIY video on how you can make your own corner shelf out of tile. So I just cut this tile directly in half on the diagonal, and then you mortar it together with the schluter trim, and you also put washers in, and then when you're ready to grout the tile, you just insert it into the grout lines and grout around it. So you just grout here in the front and then both of the back edges and corner, and also underneath the shelf. And this is what it looks like after it has been grouted. And this is an economical way to make a corner shelf. If you have gone to Lowe's and looked at the schluter corner shelves, they're $100. So this cost me just right around $10 to $15. We chose this mosaic marble floor tile, but before we put it down, we laid down the Ditra mat, and then we dry fitted the floor. This schluter trim piece was also used to separate the bathroom from the hallway. Here my daughter is just helping to dry fit all the pieces on the Ditra before we lay the tile down. And this is the floor after it has been grouted. I used the schluter pre-mixed grout in the color of frost. Next, I added drywall pieces up against the tub shower unit on both sides of the wall. Then it was time to paint. I covered the toilet that the plumber had installed, and then I used Rust-Oleum's semi-gloss sesame seed paint, and I mixed it with some Rust-Oleum black paint to get this color. I found this vanity on Facebook Marketplace. I found this light fixture at a thrift store. And we had the plumber help us install the toilet. And next we are going to be cutting a vanity top. This is the quartz vanity top that I found at Habitat for Humanity Restore, and I believe it was a display model at Lowe's. And we are going to cut it down to size for our vanity top. My husband flipped this over and he used a diamond blade saw to cut through while I ran some water over where the blade was cutting to keep the dust down. It did chip slightly at the corner, but I will show you what I did. Most of it will be covered by the backsplash, but I just used a little bit of Bondo and then painted that section. This front corner I also sanded with a palm sander so it wasn't so sharp. And this is what it looked like after we installed it, and we used construction adhesive to apply the backsplashes and to the wall and to the vanity bottom, and then I just taped it to hold it in place. And where it didn't exactly meet the wall, I just applied some silicone. And this is what it looked like after it was all finished. Out with the old, in with the new.